Holy City Center Radio, this is episode 354, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Friday, March 21st, 2025. Hello, everyone. The weekend is here. I hope you had an awesome week behind us and have an amazing next few days ahead of you. Go to holycitycenter.com/calendar, where you can find out what is going on around town. Today it's an interview episode, so no news update. So if something has happened over the last few days, that is why I'm not talking about it today. This is recorded in advance and planned for Friday's episode. So anything that happened or may happen this weekend, I'll get you caught up next week during one of those episodes. So today, we will be talking to Elaine DeaKyne. She is the executive director of Postpartum Support Charleston. We're going to talk all about that organization, what they do, how they support new moms, but also they have a mom's run coming up in May. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And as usual, there's links in the show notes where you can learn more, sign up for that run if you want to. It's a very good episode. You'll learn a lot about, maternal mental illnesses. You also learn about the organization and, maybe some signs to look out for new mothers. What's like a normal amount of anxiety? What's a normal amount of, being a little bit depressed or sad or having issues post, delivering the baby? As she mentions in this interview, you're a parent. And if this is your first child, especially, you're going to have some anxiety and worry. So it's a great way to determine, hey, when maybe is there a time that you may need to look out for some help? And Postpartum Support Charleston does an amazing job here in the area. They're celebrating their 25th year. So obviously they've been in the community for a couple decades now, and they built relationships and know places to direct people, whenever they come in and need some help. So obviously, yes, today we will be talking about some mental health issues, illnesses. If that may be triggering or upsetting for you for whatever reason, just know that we will be discussing those. Of course, we're discussing them in relation to an organization that can help if you are having some of those issues, but certainly would understand if it'd be too much for y'all to listen to that. So just a heads up, we are going to talk a little bit about, symptoms and what people go through. And I know sometimes that can be tough for folks. So just wanted to give you that heads up. But it is a great conversation. I think you'll learn a lot. I certainly did. So here it is now, the interview. And joining me now, as promised, is Elaine DeaKyne, the Executive Director of Postpartum Support Charleston and the Moms Run that's associated with that. We'll be returning in May, so we're going to be talking about all of those things. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So before we get into everything involving the organization, I'd like to have my guests just say a little bit about themselves so listeners, just understand who you are a little bit better. Anything you'd like to share about your background, if you're from Charleston, what brought you here, anything you feel like sharing.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I'm the Director of Postpartum Support Charleston. My husband and I moved to the Charleston area in 2010. Originally from the Midwest. When we moved here, we had a small group of friends, but my husband and I were the first ones to have children, and got pregnant with my daughter in 2012. And it was a planned pregnancy. Everything was healthy and normal. And after having her, I struggled pretty severely with postpartum depression. And I found out about Postpartum Support Charleston as part of my own recovery. I went to a support group, which was led at that time by Holly Fisher, who was involved with the organization for a long time. And so after my recovery, I just stayed involved with the organization. I became involved with the Moms Run initially, and then in 2018 became the executive director.
Wow, very cool. That's a lot of times when people get involved with nonprofits, you don't know if it's something that affected someone in their own family or themselves directly. So obviously, you were dealing with, postpartum issues and found this group, and now you're the executive director of it. That's quite the journey to get to that
Yeah.
point. But they obviously must have, left a mark on you before you decided to join the organization.
Yeah. So, my biggest concern as a new mother was breastfeeding my child. I put a lot of attention into that, as a lot of mothers do, still to this day. How they're going to feed their child is, pretty hot topic. And mental health was not on my radar. It wasn't talked
Mm,
about. It wasn't something that I really even thought about. And so it was around 2 months postpartum that I found myself pretty severely depressed and anxious, and I knew
mm,
something just wasn't right. So I went to my OB, who I had been seeing the most. I felt the most comfortable reaching out to her, and got the support I needed by starting that way. But I just felt like I had all the resources that should have prepared me for the struggles that I went through. And unfortunately, so many mothers just do not have the resources. Um, and the really, really sobering truth is that mothers do die from this illness. And it's
mm.
actually the number one cause of death in the first year postpartum. Um, and so it just really impacted me in such a big way, because I felt like, gosh, if I had trouble getting help and I did have resources and I had a supportive partner, I know there's just so many women out there who are just struggling alone. And so I really want to be a part um, of helping those women. And, it's just really, such an honor that I get to lead this organization and impact moms' lives. It's really, really wonderful to see a mom finally come out the other side, by coming through our programs and getting the support that they need.
Just like really any kind of mental health issue that people may have or that's out there, they're not new, but it sometimes feels like these things are new because we're talking about them more, we're learning about them more.
Mhm.
And postpartum depression and anxiety, I think it's even less understood perhaps than quote unquote normal anxiety and depression. um,
Yeah.
so maybe here's a good point too, to just, even though I feel like everyone knows or has a good idea, how would you describe postpartum depression and anxiety, and to someone who may not know, and or maybe even if they have a general idea, what aspect do most people not realize about it?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, the hardest thing for new parents, um, when they get home, I think the hardest thing, in identifying whether or not mom has a mental health concern is that, naturally we're all going to be a little anxious as parents.
Sure. Yeah.
There's part of it that's so normal, like I should worry about certain things, and so it can be really hard to identify at first. And actually, about 85% of women are going to experience the baby blues. So that's going to feel like, really sad feelings, just overwhelm. And that's normal because it's such a huge hormonal shift that women are going through. But that should only last for 2 weeks. And so, what we tell moms is, if after 2 weeks you're not feeling like your hormones are starting to stabilize a bit, or if you're experiencing symptoms that are altering what you're doing in your day to day, then that's when it's really time to reach out for support. Um, so, the common illnesses that moms are going to experience, the one we hear a lot about is postpartum depression. There's also postpartum anxiety, postpartum OCD, and PTSD. So that's moms that have maybe had a really traumatic birth experience. Um, and then the one that we hear about in the media a lot is postpartum psychosis. This is
Oh,
where a
sure. Yeah.
mom is having, um, maybe they're having thoughts that are they're seeing things that aren't there. There's hallucinations happening, and there's more of an intent to harm themselves or their children or their child. And that certainly that got blown up in the 90s with the Andrea Yates trial. And
Hmm.
more recently, there was a woman up in the Northeast that had an experience with postpartum psychosis. And that is very, very rare. And it's going to present itself most likely in the hospital. But if not, it's going to happen very quickly. Um, so that should be something that a doctor notices, or whoever's with the mom will notice a dramatic change in their behavior. Um, but with these other ones that I mentioned, it can be a little more difficult, like I said, because moms are new to this.
Right, of
And so they're
course.
like, does everybody feel this way? Is it just me? Um, so yeah, like I said, if if moms are feeling overwhelmed, they're having feelings of guilt, they're not having a strong bond with their baby, they might even be feeling some rage. They might be having a hard time sleeping. If those sorts of things are happening past that 2 week mark and they're really impacting how the mom is moving about her day, then that's when she should reach out for support.
And now that we've kind of got that background, tell me a little bit more about postpartum support Charleston. What services do you offer? What programs? Just a little bit of what is available today.
Sure. Yeah. Um, so this year we're actually celebrating our 25th year in the community. The organization was started in March of 2000. It was started out of a loss that happened with a local mom who died by suicide from postpartum depression. She grew up in Mount Pleasant. She lived in the upstate, and her mother, Helena Bradford, and two of this mom's friends, they started the organization. And it's it started and still is an organization that is peer led. And so we are moms who have experienced a maternal mental illness. We've healed, and we are giving back to moms in the community who are struggling today. And so we really want to support moms and help them understand that, first of all, they're not alone, that this illness is not their fault. There's nothing that they did wrong. And it's 100% treatable if they get the right support. Um, so we offer peer support, and then we also help them connect to all the amazing resources that are in Charleston.
So it sounds like, for someone who may be concerned that they're going through something like this, may not know where even to begin, this is a great resource for them because you already have the background and the knowledge and have worked with people in the community. So you can really direct people where they may need to go, depending on, their personal situation.
Yeah, yeah, since it's really not like a one size fits all, and it can be a little overwhelming to reach out to a therapist, or who do I reach out to, or what support do I need. We try to really bridge that gap for them in providing maybe what they didn't get through the medical system, and then helping them to connect with professionals in the community.
And in addition to that, I was looking at the website. You all also offer care packages. Can you tell me a little bit more about those?
Yes. So out of COVID, we made the decision as an organization to try to help moms in the community by coming to them. And so we started our Beyond Delivery program, where we deliver a a frozen lasagna, and a care package with diapers, wipes, diaper cream, and all the information about our program, and the different groups that we have, and what postpartum depression is, what postpartum anxiety is, and how they can get help for that if they feel like they're struggling. So that moms sign up for on their own. It's a free service, and we do that. We take those out into the community every second Friday of the month.
Nice. I have a lot of amazing services and doing a lot for the community. And in some ways, people can help. I'm sure they can donate, and we'll get to that in a moment. But also, there are several events you do. We've talked about the Moms Run, which is returning, I believe, on May 10th. Tell me more about
Yes.
events and anything about that run that's coming up.
Yeah, so the Moms Run is our biggest fundraiser for the organization. This will be our 22nd year. And it is May 10th, which is the Saturday before Mother's Day. So this event is every year, Mother's Day weekend. And it is an event for the whole family. So we are supporting moms. We are raising awareness for maternal mental health. But this event is for anybody who has a mom, loves a mom, wants to support moms. We love to see, families come out together. They bring their little ones, and it's a stroller friendly event. So we always have moms and dads pushing strollers on the course, but it's a 5K event. And we also have a 1 mile walk option, and it is at Philip Simmons High School.
Very cool. And anyone who wants to sign up, learn more about the run, the other events, the organization in general, what are the best places for people to do any of those things?
So all of that information is on our website. It's postpartumsupportchs.org. We have an events page. You can learn more about our Beyond Delivery program. You can learn more about volunteering there. We are also on Facebook and Instagram. And those handles are PPD Support CHS.
And anyone who's listening, I'll put all those links that were just mentioned in the show notes. You can just quickly, click on over from there and learn more about the organization and ways to support. Is there anything else we didn't talk about, whether it's the organization, any of the events, or just, postpartum depression and anxiety or any other issue? Is there anything that we haven't mentioned that you want to, put out there?
Yeah, I guess just to the community that's listening, if you have a new mom in your life, check in on her, like on her. A lot of times we check in on the baby. How's the baby? How's it going with the baby? So it's nice to just check in on the mom and say, how are you? How are you doing? What are you doing to take care of yourself? So check in on those new moms in your life. And then if you are a new mom and you are struggling, please know that we're a safe space to reach out for support, and we can connect you to professionals in the area that we know care about moms and really want to help.
Great. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciated it. I learned a lot, and I hope people listening did as well. It's a good organization doing great work here in the area. Elaine, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was really lovely.
And that'll do it for this edition of Holy City Center Radio. Thank you so much for listening. It was a great interview. I appreciate the time and the information that was given to us. It was certainly enlightening to me. Like I said, I thought I had a good grasp on this topic, and I certainly learned some new things, and perhaps you did as well. And again, if you know anybody who may need that, or maybe you yourself need some support, links are in the show notes where you can go learn more. And you can also donate, volunteer, help out, sign up for the run or any other event, so all sorts of ways you can support that organization, even if you yourself don't, need them currently. Thanks for listening. Thank you to Lindsay Marie Collins with LMC Soundsystem for producing this and every episode of Holy City Center Radio. And also big thank you to Tyler Boone, whose music you hear in each and every show. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll be back with you next week. I'm already looking forward to it. Good night and good luck.